Good morning. Hope everyone's having a great Monday morning. Winter's almost here, so time to kind of get the fireplaces going and stay warm and safe for the winter. Hopefully the snows won't be too bad. Love the snow. A lot of people don't with the ice. I don't like ice, but it's all part of the season. It's all part of just life. Okay, I wanted to take a quick moment and introduce another quick application that I kind of copy and pasted over. It's called GameSaveUtility. So what I'm basically doing is I took the framework, the original framework that I made, and the one where I was doing all of these individual applications because it's really just an incredibly fast way to develop things. And most of this was just copy and paste from the main Mod Helper app over into this app. And then I've got a couple more that I want to do as well. And I do have the parsing of I do want to decompress and extract data from within the Bethesda the resource archives, the Bethesda game archives. But let me kind of show you this real quick. This is going to be kind of an introduction. And I haven't fully tested everything. I've just kind of tossed it together. It basically uses all the same libraries that some of the other ones use. There's some I haven't put in here that's not needed yet. I think there's like maybe 4 or 5 custom libraries that will eventually migrate over into here as it's needed. But basically, what this does is is in effect the actual functions or the methods that are cut directly from Mod Helper is really what this is. It has the it has the game where you can select the game. It also has the profiles, which I haven't really finished selecting the profiles yet. Once I do, I can retro this across the packages, but I need to get the packages done at the moment. And in effect, it puts a menu on the game saves. I'll show you what it does here in just a second when we actually take a look at the menu items. But if you double click on one of these game saves, what it does is it's a show command, but it intercepts the show and says, okay, this is a game save file, so I want to handle this internally. One of the things I show is the actual parsed information. So this is the parsing of a game save is not done internally to a game's library. It's actually just a generic parse binary file method, but it needs the format to parse. It needs to know the serialized format that it's parsing. And I chose that method because it's pretty, I know the term is robust, but I like extensible better. It doesn't require recompiling the program, and you can literally use that method in the utilities library to parse pretty much any data file you want, any binary file you want. Yeah, I think I even have a format in there to initially parse DDS files just to actually get the size. And you could double check the size if you want. But these are the actual fields that are parsed out using the format, which is specified in a text file in the formats folder. You'll see it under FOSS any, which is the file extension and then any added to it. And this is the only data that I've parsed. I didn't go really any farther than the screenshot. Now, I don't have any of the other game saves, the ESSs, Fallout 3, Fallout Vegas. I don't have the format for those yet, so they're not really going to show anything. Because it doesn't know how to parse it. But they're pretty much very similar, except I think it uses a 3-byte RGB value as opposed to a 4, or an inverted 4, or a kind of a really weird ordered 4. But anytime you have the game save, and this is the exact same thing in Mod Helper, by the way. So anytime you have a game save or a screenshot up, if you select a different game save, it will instantly know, oh, that's up, and it will go ahead and parse that game save, extracting the information out. This doesn't update. This really it doesn't update. However, if you wanna update this, you would just simply double click, and then that updates. Because this is something again, this was pulled from Mod Helper. I don't keep this up all the time, but since this is a standalone application, you might, it might be something a person would wanna see. I would probably use this mostly if, I'm putting together a format, I'm typing the format in myself, and for some reason something isn't coming out right, I can look here and I can see where the values went wrong in the serialization because it takes them in order, the fields in order of sequence. You have a couple there's one thing that this, this application does. And again, this is the exact it's a copy. It's really it was really mostly a copy and paste. Just grab stuff, copy, and, "Oh, I forgot to add this," copy and paste like that. That's pretty much what it was. But one of the things it does do is rename the game save. And you can control that with the config any. You just go in and you literally say, I don't rename game save false. And I think, you can set it up so that you, can rename the game save, the regular normal save, but you don't wanna rename the quick save. The downside there's only one downside I've seen so far. Whenever I start a new game and it renames the game save, the game itself is not it doesn't recognize that the game that the name has changed. It's still looking for the original format game save, so it shows no game saves. And but what I have to exit out of that, I have to exit the game, and then once I start the game back up, it will recognize that new game, the new game save name format. It'll recognize that, and from that point forward, it recognizes it every time. So, only on a new game. That was one of the weird caveats. Maybe I can find a way around that perhaps. But what you see here is it keeps so many game saves per character name. So, and these are and in the way that I do my modding and the way that my applications work is, the load order name is the character name. So if you were to look at my game, I'll go to Mod Helper, you would see the load order name would be like, I think it's Courtney Hopkins. So Courtney Hopkins would actually be here. So this is my current game. Now in Mod Helper, it knows Courtney Hopkins is the current load order, and it would mark these in green to say that this is current. But this doesn't really, it does have the load order library. It does load the load orders, but, the name of the load order is different because, I actually save the name as a tag name, as a key name for the load order itself. And, I don't know if other mod managers do that. So, that's just one feature that won't be there. And so you can actually say, "I wanna keep 20 of a particular character," and that's what it does. So it'll keep the last 10 of a particular character name, and it will archive off all the rest. And when it archives off game saves, it will actually save them. I think the default configuration is in the wherever this application is run from. So if they're all in the same folder, it'll have like I think it's like Mod Helper, uh, games, Fallout 4, and then it'll have a backup. It has the backups there. And you can change that. You can go into the localization file and you can change that from Mod Helper to just the game name if you want. It's everything is configurable. The file names are configurable. The folder names are configurable. It's all really configurable. But just the default, that's just what I have it set up as. If you look at the menu, you have a couple options here. One of the options is you can show the required plugins. And you can't really swap out views on this. I do have this swappable, but there's no code in there to swap it. So that's just primarily the view you'll see. But you can see the plugins that's required to run it. It is based on the current load order that the game opens. So whatever your current load order is, if it can't find a named load order, then what it'll do is it will use the load order text file. it does have the mod manager code in there to point to, let's say, the mod organizer 2 folder to get the plugin list. It does have that code in there. So hopefully that'll work. I haven't fully tested that yet. But you can see that some of the entries are in red. Now, normally you'll see a highlight. It'll have a little info box, but that particular code is not in here. But what you can do is you can go in and look at the required plugins, and it will show you that it's missing. Let's see. Yeah, see, plugin is missing. Plugin is missing. So you can see which plugins are currently missing, and of course, see these are also missing as well. I think, yeah. This one I think is missing a dependency. So that way you can see exactly what's required by the game save. So you can see what it needs and and basically what it does, it'll extract the plugin names from the game save, compare that to the current load order and say either they exist or they don't exist. Now, one thing it doesn't do, this is the information for the current plugin in the load order. So there's no way to check which game version. I don't think there's any way to check in the game save which game version or which plugin version went into that game to actually compare it back. At least I don't know of right off. There may be, but I don't know of anything right off. But you can see that that's there. You have a couple other features here. You can archive a game save. So if I want to archive this particular save, I would just archive it. You can archive outdated. You can also delete the save. You can delete a character save. And what it does, it goes by this. So if I was to delete Courtney Hopkins, it would delete only this block here. And like I say, you can specify how many game saves are available. And you also specify how many game saves are archived in a zip file. I think the default's 50. I think it's, and it will also archive the F4SC files associated with the game save. It does that. And I think that's pretty much about it. Use resaver and this basically uses a pipe function 65. It's opcode 65, which is simple task. It calls simple task from the utilities library and it passes certain variables to it. Basically, it passes the name of the resaver application to run and the name of the file you want to pass to resaver. And that's the same for this. I do know that resaver, I don't believe Resaver C. I don't think Resaver, the one that I have, needs an update. I haven't checked to see if there's any new updates for it, but you could automatically just, if you have one of the older Resavers, if you didn't update Java, I don't know what the Java update is about the vulnerabilities, but you could actually use the previous version of Java, and then the Resaver will work, and then it'll just open that game save up in Resaver. So that's the menu. That's pretty much straight out of Mod Helper. You can see the icons are not there. Those are just, you just grab them off the internet, stick them in the images folder, and they're dynamically loaded. But once it finds one, it won't load it again. But they're dynamically loaded. So you can put whatever icons you want. That was part of the theme package. The theme package was icons, images, and colors is really what it was. But that's it. It was a short 4-hour project, because like I say, it was all copy and paste. One thing you won't see over here is, if you see any kind of, there's no backups right now because, you can in my game, the backups are where I have Mod Helper installed or where it's run from. Here, there's no game saves, but if there is, it would actually put the zipped game saves below this, but you can't really click on them. You couldn't click on like, let's say this was a backup, like a zipped game save. You couldn't click on that and bring this up because it's embedded. I mean, you could, because you could easily find the file within that, and then you could extract it and then parse it and then toss it up. That is a possibility. I just haven't done that code yet. Maybe in the future I will. 'Cause a lot like I say, a lot of this stuff was, I need this functionality, this functionality. It's kinda like a giant dartboard, and you got a bunch of darts on the table, and they all have little functionality or little methods on them, and you just start tossing them left and right. So you have to take shortcuts. Some areas, some areas not, but then you can go back and clean it up. But the shortcut really isn't non-functional, it just doesn't show that information. But, if it is an archive file, if it is a backup file, you will have a menu option that's gated that will let you restore that file. And what it does, it just simply copies that file out of the zip file and puts it into your game save folder. And that would be the most recent timestamp. And it's the same with if you go into here and you want to set to recent. That just re-timestamps the game save so that way it will show up at the top of the list. Okay, so that's pretty much that application. I'm going to go ahead and just kinda stop on this. I'll test it a little bit later, but I just kinda wanna give a brief just showing of just a very simple game save utility. It's not so much a manager, you could call that, but it's not so much manager, but just a utility, and gives people the ability to, do certain things with game saves, like use resaver. You can link it back in that way, you can swap games, you can look at game saves, you can see information on game saves. All right. Well, that'll about cover it for this. I hope everybody has a fantastic week. And I'll be on and off during the week because I've got at least two or three more little apps I can toss together in a few hours, which will I can pull, I can basically quote quote rip that out of Mod Helper. The session one will probably be a little bit more complicated. I do want to take a look at trying to catch and filter out duplicate objects in like transfer settlements. I'll take a look at the Sim Settlements 2, the Papyrus log to see what kind of data is created. And that'll probably be like a command shell program. Plus, I have a database program that I want to toss together. That one will be quick. That's another 2 to 4 hour job right there. Very simple, copy and paste. And that way I wanna have like, kinda like a very simple interface utility to where if you have hundreds and hundreds of downloaded mods, you can index them, and then you can find the specific file you're looking for, or you can find out which file has the file you're looking for. It's the same thing I have in Mod Helper, but I'm gonna cut that out and you can share your databases, so, you can actually build pretty massive databases. I believe I've got that particular program set to 64 bits, so, if not, I'll definitely have to set it because that's gonna be massive. Alright, well, just wanted to touch base and kinda just show what this is, and, I've got to, I'm gonna take a short break here, and then we will move on to the next project, so hope everybody has a great day.